of it. It's a little unsettling. And joining us now is geophysicist and CEO of Temblor Incorporated and longtime geophysicist with the U.S. Geological Survey, Ross Stein. Ross, thanks for taking time tonight to share your expertise on all of this. I'm just going to start by saying this quake swarm started at 9:38 this morning. Unusual in any way for this area?
Well, if we look at the Bay Area as a whole, as your reporter just said, the Bay is sliced up with a bunch of faults. And in general, if we look at any typical month of earthquakes, we'll see little earthquakes on all of those faults or nearby them. So from that standpoint, having a magnitude 3.8 isn't alarming. When we zoom in on this site, however, we do see some unique features. This San Ramon swarm area has had 10 swarm events since 1970. And this is probably the northern end of the Calaveras Fault. It seems to be involved with some squishy rocks that have some fluids that move through them and create something a little unique. In other words, staccato, pop, 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 pop kind of earthquakes rather than the big bang followed by the smaller aftershocks. So that is unique, but we have had 10 of these without getting anything big. So if you knew nothing else, you'd say, well, the chance of this set of earthquakes we've had today being a foreshock to something much larger couldn't be higher than 10%.
Okay, so are you saying so Ross, you're saying that there is at most a 10% chance of the 3.8 and the sequence that followed being followed by something even larger in the next, 24 hours?
At most 10%.
Okay.
And we could say, well, look, what's the other way to look at it? For every magnitude, we would take 100 3.8s to have a 5.8.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if we go from 3 to 5, it's 100 times the number of earthquakes. So that means 1%. We have about a 1%, somewhere between a 1% and a 10% chance of something much larger occurring here as a result of this swarm.
Okay, we've got the map up that you provided for us earlier today, seeing where those quakes were centered. Earthquake swarms in this area, not unusual then, correct?
So this is a unique spot in the fault system in the Bay that keeps knocking off these swarms, these staccato events. It's kind of like a whole bunch of bee swarms. You're getting stung all at once rather than just with the queen. And so there is something unique about it. We don't really understand. And the bigger picture is we are not able to figure out which little earthquake is marked for future greatness. Nobody. In 60 years of seismologists trying to do so, nobody has figured out how to determine that one little shock, one little magnitude 4, is a foreshock and not just a typical run-of-the-mill shock.
Okay, does this part of the whole earthquake picture in the Bay Area, is it capable? Have we seen historically big shocks in this part of the Bay?
We certainly have. The Calaveras, prehistorically, has produced magnitude 7s. The Hayward Fault has produced historically, in 1868, something just below a magnitude 7. And the Pleasanton Fault, probably on which these earthquakes occur, is capable of a magnitude, let's say a Northridge-sized fault, a magnitude 6.7. So yes, it has happened, it could happen, and we have even seen recently in Japan a magnitude 7.5 earthquake that was preceded by a very, very active swarm. So sometimes swarms do turn out to be precursory. We just can't tell, though, that this is one of those cases.
Okay, so the next couple of days, I remember in the course of my own reporting, and certainly in the breadth of your career, sometimes these swarms persist, right? They go on for days and days and days. To me, this one seems to be dying out. Do you think we're done with this one, or could it just light up again overnight?
It could. It could, and if you look at the 10, they all have different durations. Some of them migrate a bit, which is why people think that there's some kind of fluids involved, but we don't actually sample those fluids. So what we don't know is a much larger picture than what we do know. Nevertheless, as you can see, we have earthquakes near an active fault, and that fault has the capability of producing something larger. Temblor calculates that the chance of a magnitude 6.7 in the San Ramon, Danville area is about 50-50 over your lifetime. So the message is, regardless of whether or not we can read these tea leaves, be prepared.
Got it. Ross Stein, CEO of Temblor Incorporated. We always appreciate you joining us to let us know the latest on what's going on. And in terms of whether or not the storm's going to continue, we will just stay tuned. Ross, thanks very much.